Hey everybody, welcome to a Sunday Center Myself Sunday. Oh, I did get them. I'm sorry, I just went live totally fast. I had an entire crew rowing out here, and there's a fishing tournament. Okay, so the first point of order this morning is anybody in the Bay Area who knows. Mike, I know you told me about it Friday night, but I didn't get any details. I know you mentioned John's Pass. You said something about a fishing tournament. Anybody that knows about this fishing tournament or wants, maybe you can look it up for me and tell me it's going on today. Madeira Beach, John's Pass. Of course, we had the big tournament last weekend over there at the Madeira Beach Marina, and I hope this wind isn't too bad. So I'm also going to actually have to ask you to give me a sound check and see if this wind is coming in too strong, or I'll check it out myself. Got to go to the Rays game yesterday. Had a great time. So surprised by, just a total vibe. I don't want to get into it too much off the top, but basically I'm just going to rant and just ramble for the next whatever little while, and you can see all these beautiful boats coming in and out of the pass, and then these pelicans. Let me see them. And you see those pelicans, and if we're lucky, we'll see some dolphins. It's a cup array from down here at, of course, I'm down here at John's Pass, finding my Sunday. I'm down here at Krabby's on the Pass. Thanks to the staff for always taking care of me out here. And go ahead, and if you could share the show. I'm going to be working. The shot's going to be a work in progress because I just want to go so fast again because the boats. It's a cup array from down here at Krabby's on the Pass. See you on the other side. I was hoping you could get some of the vibe, right? Because that boat is like, a little bit of an older boat. I've seen that boat a couple of weeks in a row now when I've been out here doing Cup of Ray out here at Krabby's on the Pass. Some fishermen, and there's just a steady stream of the fishing boats going out. Again, if somebody can comment and tell me what this fishing tournament is, I got 2 comments. Already a win for me on a Sunday. Ryan Arnold says, "Go Rays! Going to be great season." Ryan, Hit Show talking to Peter Blake on his Facebook page. Also, I also included. Oh, you actually won't see the link on the Facebook, but I included my YouTube page, and I'm going to make sure we start putting everything on there just for a centralized location because I understand that other social media platforms or sometimes things can be a little discombobulated, and this way you just have a central source and you go over and like it, and then the only thing that'll pop are like these rantings. Talking about that boat and all the fishing, it was beautiful. There's a fishing boat came through here, and it was more of a low, flat stroller. It's got to handle itself a little bit out there on the Gulf of Mexico because, a little bit of a wind here. The humidity's back up today, but dudes are just, and I know y'all living here in Florida, been down here on vacation. Maybe you're down here on vacation right now. This isn't the rarest thing, but it's so cool. They're just vibing through the pass. There's like 5 guys on the boat. They're all spread out, and there's a shorebird, but an egret right there on the back, sitting on top of one of the motors because they're just idling out, and he's just sitting there. He's like, something's going to happen, and it's going to be good. I'm going to eat. Go Rays. So today we get to see Jeffrey Springs. Now, Jeff Springs is the one I got this. I think it's Jeffrey Springs. Otherwise, it's McClanahan, but no, it's Springs. I've been throwing spit, and I love Eflin yesterday. It was funny because I was sitting there in left field right behind Randy Rosarina, and just a bunch of Rays fans, comment throughout the game. You say little things, and Eflin he just threw it. And I said, here it is. I'm just going to throw this and see what you can do with it. And that's exactly what that cat was doing with those first pitch strikes, getting control of the count. Of course, as a baseball, you're like, next time they're going to switch it up. Because that's one of the things I was thinking about this, not just with Eflin's performance yesterday and going 5 innings, 6 innings, 2-run ball, locking it down. And of course, that was after Sugar Shane McClanahan on opening day back on Thursday. But not only the Rays get a little bit of grief for the way they take care of their players. Or the thing is, with coaching and the way the coaching staff and the Rays, and one of the things they always seem to do is have catchers and have a pitching game that keeps other batters off their, on their heels. Basically, doesn't let them and use. So Eflin, but the way I saw him throw yesterday, he's just like, first pitch is just like, yo, boom, what do you got? And then after that, then he would get them in a ground ball hitter. Had that in the first inning, had to hit the left field, and a Rosarina rocked over to it. But yeah, I love it. Almost a little chilly. Christopher Cole says, good morning, right? Good morning, Christopher, brother. Good to see you in here. Happy Sunday. Christopher O'Reilly says, grew up a Marlins fan. I can't find the courage to switch to the Rays. Christopher, I had Kurt Abbott played on their 97 World Series team. Of course, I played football at Hollins High, formerly Dixie Hollins High, with Kurt Abbott. And, he was a wide receiver on a football team, but you saw his dedication and the program they had, but the dedication of Kurt. And we're talking about going back to the little leagues of Northeast and in the Bay Area and of course, so when Kurt's down there with the Marlins, I was making trips to and fro all the time to get to go down there and watch those Marlins play, and it was fantastic. I remember who was the knuckleballer? I can't think of it. We went down just to see that guy pitch. Oh, Charlie Huff, right? I was going to say Charlie Pride. Charlie Huff with the knuckleball. Yeah, I was a Marlins fan too, brother. But, come over to the good side now because we're about to win American League East in 2023. Christopher O'Reilly says, also, good morning, sir. Good morning, Christopher. Hey, you guys, do me a favor, hit share on the show. Get someone else up in here. But okay, so today I wanted to tell a little story. Let me know. Somebody yell when there's a big boat. It seems like we got another boat leaving Hubbard's Marina over. It looks like it's actually Hubbard's Hubbard's fishing boat, but we'll see that go through there. Don Zimmer going in. The Rays are formally going to open their modern day Hall of Fame, but their Hall of Fame today. They're going to get Don Zimmer going in there and a Zim Bear, and of course what Don Zimmer meant to this team, but what Don Zimmer meant to all of Major League Baseball. Started with the 1949 with the Brooklyn Dodgers and the career that Don Zimmer had. And of course, many of you remember Don Zimmer when he was a bench coach with the Yankees and with the Red Sox and Pedro Martinez and coach. Oh, there's a fishing boat. See if I can get someone away. There, they're waving. Can you see that? Hey, everybody, have a great day out on the water. There they are. Yes, I pulled my shirt up. But not only the career he meant, I know I'm yelling. If I'm yelling, tell me. Okay, it's early. Don and his wife, Carol, they moved here in the 50s, moved to Florida and to the Tampa, or to Florida, period. But they've also lived in Seminole right there, literally in the, I think it's Seminole Garden Lake or Seminole Lake, but it's basically beautiful condominium, been in Seminole probably since just after it incepted back in 1970, but nice. Of course, and Don and Carol lived in there, and it was always neat because the Publix is just across Ridge Road or 113th from there, and you always knew. I wanted to tell this story because I didn't want to come up. When Don, very rarely was Don in there because he was so busy with baseball, but when Carol was in there and people would always say, oh, the Zimmers are here or Carol's here and everything. And they never acted this way. They were just down to earth, folksy type people who just love living in the Bay Area. But it was kind of like there was royalty in the Publix. Felt almost like, hey, they closed this place down so Michael Jackson can get his shop on, but not like that, like people hide around corners, but just great people and so approachable. And of course, Don Zimmer with the Rays for 10 years, and what he meant as this team was establishing its identity, which, by the way, let's go back to you there, Ryan. Their identity in 2023 seems to be get the bats working, get the base running, obviously get the pitching, but just an entire attitude. And I really do think, as much as I want to say it's across the, and we're talking about a Wander Franco where it was like, oh, the rays of the sun were shining upon him, and then he stepped back a little bit, buried the lead. He's still a phenomenal player. And then Randy Rosarina there in left field. I keep saying right field, in left field. And the speed we had out in the outfield yesterday. I wanted to say this about the Rays. first of all, hats off. The last game I went to, and this is why, we thought, no, not the last game, but I was at the game in 2021 when the Rays they beat the Marlins, and they locked up the American League East again, and there wasn't like champagne bottles popping and everything because you won your divisional pennant. Uh, it was the second year in a row, which coming off of 2020 and what that was with the Bucks and the Lightning and the Rays, you almost forget about them. Like, oh yeah, they won the American League pennant, which is like, I know a lot of y'all thought this, but that's the American League. If it was football, it's the AFC Championship, right? And then they go to face the National Football Conference team in there, which for the Rays happened to be the Dodgers, and the Dodgers were that's why when they talk about all the Dodgers being one of those teams that's going to step up and get Shohei Ohtani, and I'm like, as a Rays fan, what am I going to say? We just keep doing it, right? They just keep doing it and not just with analytics, but with one of the best, if not the best manager in baseball in Kevin Cash. And I mean, I said this a couple of years back when it was Bruce Arians. It was Bruce, and I was like, John Cooper, Bruce Arians, Kevin Cash. And I wish I could drop the manager, or back in the day, it was Rodney Marsh, who was both a player and the manager of the Rowdies. Rowdies lost last night, so I didn't get my Tampa Bay trifecta. Of course, I had put a perfecta on, but the Rays winning, the Lightning winning, and then the Rowdies to complete it, to finish it up, and that would have been, I would have hit for about 32,000. That would have been a nice hit on a $50 bet. Actually, it'd be awesome if that was real. But also, you're like, Lightning, Islanders are still fighting for a playoff spot, but Lightning that's okay. Rays locking it down. Detroit pitching. Rays pitching. The show's turned into me out here in the But I'll tell you this, and I'm starting to see some folks, fanning out there into the tables. There's about 50 tables right along Krabby's here, all along the waterfront. And then here's the thing I like about Krabby's. Not only for that fantastic food, and for the best staff on the beach. We got some great places. They got a pretty good staff over there at the Brass Captain, and across the street there at the Saltwater Hippie, in the entire area, Madeira Beach Flow. And then you come here to, basically, it's on the Treasure Island side of the Johns Pass Bridge, so we can say this is Rockin' Treasure Island. I just love to say it's Rockin' the Pass, and of course the very name, Krabby's on the Pass, but they've got about 50 tables open. You come in here, you sit down, and yeah, the humidity is starting to come. This morning I felt it, tried to open the windows, came to the first stop from the house, and all the water came running in. Of course, anywhere we live, there's humidity. We've all been there. I hope can somebody else comment? Like, let me test this. The house sound, Christopher or Ryan or anybody, can you tell me? I can actually check. I have my phone. So let me just do this, because I just want to make sure that the sound's not. I didn't do a sound check this morning because it's so early, so I didn't want to bother anybody. But I want to remind me about throwing a shout out to the Rays. Actually, just shout out to the Tampa Bay or Champa Bay area. Shout out to the staff at Fergs and Al McTavish, my guy in the box, my DJ in the box. Okay, there it is. Let me just roll her. DJ in the box. So that was weird, right? So you just caught the parallel, not the parallel, but the paradigm that when you go live and you just said something and you're in there, it is. So anyway, I know it's a big thing, but getting the humidity on the way out here, it's why we moved here. It's why 150 years ago, people in the north and from all over went, hey, this tropical environment, pretty good. Come down here. But I want to know where they're all going to fish. Because last week they were fishing grunts and they were running out of Madeira Beach. They had the big white tents there, familiar with the beach, just across from Madeira Beach Middle and Elementary, across the Tom Stewart Causeway. They have that marina there. It used to be, back in the day, y'all might remember, it used to be a Lever Rocks right there. And then even before that, it was something else. But now that's all been down. I think they're talking about, this has turned into your Tampa Bay report, but that's okay, because we're going to get back to the sports thing. They're going to do some dry docking things. Some of the things like we see down there at 54th, they're down there at the bottom of Bayside or Pinellas, down there by the Skyway where you do the approach anyway, Bayway. Because that's where we went, Tierra Verde, and to go out in a boat to go out there to Caladesi, right, Mr. Chad? But anyway, they're going to do something like that around here so they can park some more boats. And then it's one of those deals where, you call and you say, I'll have the boat at 10, and they put it in there, and it's a great service. I would pose, especially with the beating boats take all the time out here, because you get out on the water and you're having a great time taking care of it, cleaning it, keep that engine clean, but then you just sit it. So to have the luxury, the big boat's going out. See, this is what I wanted to bring you for. The big boat going out of Hubbard's. The race game yesterday, I'm walking in. So first of all, crowd, good crowd, but fantastic. Hats off to the staff all around, starting with the parking, working out. Of course, I parked over at the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill down there on Central Avenue, just below 16th Street. It's right near the Edge District of St. Petersburg, but to have that easy access, of course, wanted to see my guys have a little bite to eat. Had a Cuban. Oh man, if you're gonna get the Cuban upgrade, do the fry upgrade for $1, and it's like smoking. Okay, so the bridge is gonna go up too, so it's a twofer, and you'll see the big deep sea fishing boat. Walking up to the racing, it's okay. They handled the traffic coming in, everything's good. Walking to the rotunda, of course, all is still friendly faces, the most fantastic crew. As the Buccaneers won game day experience for the 11th of the last 13th year, is that when because I've been reporting it. I've been reporting it going way back. Every year, I've always did an article on it and a fantastic what it meant to be that game day experience. And the Bucs won it again this last 2022 season. Not a surprise. But the Rays and their staff and the way they accommodated us into the atrium, but that's not where I get blown. I'm like, okay, because I used to stand there and take pictures every day for 4 years. But I walk in, get the DJ on a second bar, get DJ Kitty, everything, people having a good time walking around. My son wanted to go over to the apparel store. I say apparel, is that like an old person word? And then I go up the escalator. Oh, there's the tank. There's the race tank full. What? And then I make a right. I walk out. There's a wonderland of awesomeness. There's a bar. When you're watching a Rays game on television, the outfield, center field wall right there where you got the pitch clock, but you got that's a little above. Right behind that is the most kicking bar, all flattened out, accommodating people everywhere. You're standing there just having a few drinks, having a great time. Oh, they're between innings, or we were there during batting practice. And all of a sudden, I'm like, so let's go see our seats. We're in 143. Great. Tristan and I go down, we get our seats. We're like I said on my post, I'm right there in Randy Rosarina's right hip pocket. That was awesome. Randy, what a great guy. Had this shirt. Every time I go to that, I'm going to have my stomach stick up. It's going to be funny. But now we're walking to our seats, and as I'm walking, I'm looking around. I'm like, man, this is not. I mean, every year the Rays continue. Stu Sternberg and the crew, as we get an announcement that the city of St. Petersburg and Ken Welch, and we're going to do that deal. We're going to at least talk to the Heinz Group. Let's look at this. And then, of course, the Rays actually state this week that, Tampa Bay and St. Petersburg are still in the mix. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with Kyle Trask and Baker Mayfield competing for the starting quarterback position for your Buccaneers in 2023. And I would pose, no comments. Come on, people. I'm up here on a wire. I'm kidding. I would pose, what are the longer odds that Kyle Trask starts over Baker Mayfield, or this Rays stadium gets built in St. Petersburg and not Tampa? At the end of the day, as long as it's Tampa Bay, yay. I'm ready. I had nothing. I'm stalling till this boat goes through. This is awesome. These people are they're going out. Now, I know these people aren't in the fishing tournament, because in the fishing tournament, the boats have to be faster. And I'm sure there's some pretty good fish. In fact, I know Captain Hubbard has good fishermen on that boat, because they take them out to the good. This boat's not going to be flipping around and, smoking flats and trying to whatever they're fishing for today. I'll wait till they come in a shot if I go to this side. So, yeah. Share the show, please. I'm going to finish that race story. I'll see if I can get people. Nah, they're not going to wave. Yeah, they're almost got a 6-year-old girl to wave, but her father went. So we sit in our ass back to the Rays game, because that's probably the only reason why any of you ever stick around. Yeah, I had a hot dog at the ball game yesterday. We get to our seats. Tristan's, it's the Tigers are having batting practice. I'm like, I got to go see what I just checked out. Like, there's a bar. What's that? There's a bar behind that. There's a wall. It's like unique. And because here's the thing about baseball stadiums, the Ivy at Wrigley Field, the 3-story bars at Minute Maid Park, whatever the hell they got going on there. It was the kayaks for the Barry Bonds. Barry Bonds, put him in a Hall of Fame. Let's close the door on that. I get it. We're going to have to maybe whatever, Pete Rose, whatever. Hats off to baseball for like, I haven't watched Major League Baseball this year. We dropped our cable and it's not on the YouTube package. Can someone help me out with that? So was the bridge cool? I love it. So I get up from my son. He's watching a little BP, and I go walking back toward that bar. And now I start walking. No, actually, this is when Tristan and I both were. I'm like, hey, let's go for a little lap. Let's go walk over because it's 3:00. The game didn't start till 4:06. We go back to that bar area, that's center field, straight up to whatever, and then we start walking over toward right now. Remember, okay, little story, as the numbers dip a little bit, but that's okay. I won't tell a story until we get at least. They built the roof, right? 1985, Rick Dodge, the city of St. Petersburg, all that work to get baseball, to get a team here. Baseball had been here since 1918. Al Lang proposes, hey, we got nice weather down here, from February to March, and you guys every year go do your. They used to like naked sunbathe in boxes. What they call those things, like solar whatever? I think you guys have seen this, I'm sure, everywhere, but not everywhere, But yeah, they used to have the boxes down at Spa Beach in St. Pete that like it went straight up, and of course you didn't have to worry about airplanes and drones and stuff like that, I guess. But they it was straight up, and the thing was to take all of your clothes off in sun, and I'm like, a beach is fine with me. Of course, back then, we're talking about going back where people used to wear like three-piece suits on the water. I'm gonna pause for every boat, but these are a little bit smaller, but they are starting to come in line again. So yeah, the people are still heading out for this tournament. Oh, I got some more comments. Oh, let me get up in here. Al McTavish, my guy. Good morning. Free parking today. Lots of laugh. Free concert today at Ferg's after the game with CMT award-winning artist Chad Collins. And Alan, what was that band again on Friday night? Big Brother? I think that was it. And you said that was one of your you love that band. And I'm like, I saw why. A local St. Pete Beach, but just everything. They're one of those bands where you can sit there and watch and be amazed by, they had a new drummer playing with them on Friday night, but you respect the music, but at the same time, it's like not so much Kenny Chesney or Jimmy Buffett, but it's the kind of music where you just sit back and just enjoy it. Like it takes it over. And plus it has the lead singer was very good. Well, the whole band was really good, but he's a great storyteller. Mike Stover. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Ray. What an epic Saturday. Raising Lightning win big, followed by a damn good first half of WrestleMania. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. 100. That would have been not a trifecta, but a quintuplet. Is there even a quintella Campbell boat? There you got two guys just heading out there. I should, again, somebody Google. Alan, you know this. Tell me, what's the fishing tournament going on here now? Alan lives a little bit east or south of here, but Alan says, we got you a free shirt today from Alex at Ferg's Sports Shack, V-cut sleeves. Brother, I'm serious. I come down there. You better be serious. I talked to Alex last night. Alex is selling. I want to say this. It's so weird. Of course, when I'm down there with Mike Rickard, I'm going to just do the name drops. Mike Rickard, actually from the Tampa St. Pete Sports Connection, from Pee Wee's Preps to the pros. But Alex is out front selling gear, and all during football season, and then baseball, and then every season. Not only has he got the gear, not only has he got the gear you're looking for, right? And he's doing it on such a small footprint. It's a beautiful little bubble, if you will, right out in front of Ferg's there, right on the sidewalk, and it's become a part of it. I know Coach feels that way. Coach, again, I'll get with you later on that. Alan knows what I was going to talk about with the parking. Al McTavish says, did you have a double espresso? Am I really that bad? No, my nose, I didn't take my Zyrtec. And then the moment I came over the bridge, maybe that's what it is. It's like a reverse. What's the stuff that you get in the allergy medicine? It's going to come to me. Anyway, it either makes you really drowsy or really hyper. Maybe that's it. Thanks. Hey, good to see you, Alan, brother. I'm also really glad to hear everything's going good with Kelson. We're going to make sure everything. You got it, bro. What I'm talking about with this Rays game, so when Tristan and I were going to do that walk around, and then we go towards that bar, get past that bar, and we're still walking. Oh, I remember where I was going with that, because when they built this thing in 85, it was just the roof. And of course, the plans all along were to fill it in later to fill in the rest of the stadium, the locker rooms, the amenities, the outfield. We knew there weren't going to be bullpens for the way they wanted to use that space. So you have the on the field bullpens, and you got a catcher there or somebody team rep there with the protecting the pitchers and the catchers. Still been some close moments though, right? You still see it where ball or in the bullpen where a ball maybe rolls out in the field of play. Doesn't happen too often, but so they built the stadium, and every year or every couple of years, the Rays seem to be having improvement. They talking about an improvement, but you get the stadium built in 85, 95, 05, 15, 25, 40-year-old stadium that was built as a roof, and the amenities inside were not taken into account to allow for big luxury boxes. They did an entire floor all the way around from third base over to first base, and it's nice in there, but everything was built in after the fact. And 40 years ago, when priorities changed, the number one priority has always been, continues to be, and always will be, is the play on the field, and that's the race and that teams got taken care of. Anyway, so the new stadium obviously is going to be addressing all that. You're going to get that corporate sponsorship that, like I've told this story before. I know I've seen the numbers dip a little, so I apologize, but I know people. I know people that are business, people that are involved in their own type of businesses, the kind of people that have the kind of businesses that they would entertain and bring in clients from elsewhere to, hey, this would be good. This is a great, this is a good part. This is what we do here. So and it used to be 40 years ago, it used to be mostly the city of Tampa. Walter Powell, Walter, what's his name? Walter Fuller, the Walter Industries were a big sponsor with the Bucks, stuff like that. But over in St. Pete, it was like, it wasn't, like it is now. And when these people that own these businesses have told me, well, and I know a couple that are 100% going to, that this is the kind of thing with the stadium, with the amenities, with the taking time to take care of the corporate sponsorship, that you're going to bring in people to entertain them. So, because you got to, oh, by the way, we're the best team in the American League East. Bury that lead, but come in here and enjoy this beautiful. While you're here in Florida, let's do business. This is us. And then the Bucks or the Lightning, and all of a sudden now you start to realize I'm not trying to take the love up. This turned into a TED talk on industrialism. But the thing is that these are assets to the community, so you can to bring in big companies. Yeah, I'd like to have my company there because it's a big league city. I feel like it's 1983, and I'm trying to pitch you guys to move a baseball team here. Ugh. There's another boat. I love the color on that boat. Plus, it's got, I don't know if you can see it, but near the back quarter, like by the engine, it's got that little pimp door. It's like a little tiny door. It's up enough, high enough that the water doesn't affect it, but it's one of those ones that when you're getting in and out of the boat, you got boop, pimp into the water. Didn't think you were going to hear pimp on a show on a Sunday morning. Basically, you're able to walk. You can do the entire circle around Tropicana Field right now, except for right when you get behind the home plate from just right here, because obviously right behind home plate is the media and the press box and all that. So you have to come and there's a few little luxury boxes in there. I know, I see you. And then you go back in, but that is such a great thing because, in the past, there were iterations ago, not lately. Now remember, left field, everything done in left or center field street was done because Stu Sternberg, talking about the Brooklyn Dodgers, talking about Don Zimmer going into the Hall of Fame, but Stu Sternberg was a Dodgers fan, and he wanted that outfield to remind him of Ebbets Field, to remind him of what the experience, and you kind of get that, right? Except for you always go down, and again, because I worked there, you're walking outfield, you got the bar, and if you just go right in right there, boom, seats. There's a lot of activity going on. There's a game getting ready to go on there. But walking around like immersed in an entirely different field, and you're walking, da 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 da, and then all of a sudden, boom, either escalator or so. I mean, they did what they could do as they're building that in. Inevitably, or ultimately, in the new stadium, they're going to address that with other ways too, with flat concourses and utilizing the area. So I just love that you could do that. Okay, 9 innings. Actually, I left in the 7th, actually ended the 6th. I wanted to head over for the UAB. UAB loses yesterday to Fresno State Aztecs. Reed Sinnett. I was going to give you the owl. I was going to do a little owl, but yeah, the Aztecs beat, of course, San Diego State, and that was Reed Sinnett's alma mater. Of course, Reed Sinnett, former Buccaneer quarterback, also with the Dolphins and a few other teams. Was it Patriots too, Reed? Had one of my first big Here's a guy I love this. I'm talking to Reed. He was an undrafted free agent with the Bucks, and of course, it was the first year behind. Okay, Tom Brady's here, right? 2020, and you're like, we got to get someone in here. What's this? And the kid comes in and balls, and that's what he was known for. He was known for a lot of what you got in Kyle Trask with the pocket, pre-read, pre-snap read, pocket presence quarterback. But I lined up an interview with him, and I had just gotten to the Carolina. This is turning into. I'm sorry, this is going to be boring because it's just a me story. But we just got to the mountains 2 nights before, and they're like, I get the call, and they're like, "Hey, you got Reed on Sunday?" I'm like, "That's this is what I wanted." So I get set up the camera in the back of the mountains. I got the mountains in the background. They washed out a little. I didn't have good lighting. I always got to worry about lighting. He comes on. So we had just been in camp, only a couple of weeks or the second week in camp there, and we get to talking about how he drove because he was from playing at San Diego State, but he was living from Colorado. I think he was at Reed. Anyway, it was like a straight drive through right after the season at San Diego State, and he's driving through, and we got into this great conversation about what was his playlist, and we got into, and it was a vibe thing. And of course, here's this undrafted kid. He's on this Buccaneer squad, just like they're going to have in 2023. Inevitably, there's going to be somebody to come in here with a Baker Mayfield and a Kyle Trask and a third person. I think the makeup of your team is we got that's the thing. We got so many pieces, so many veterans still in place. We've got we've got so many players in this locker room that already know how the postseason and championship, in some cases, a lot of cases, sausage is made. They've already got that part down. And again, it just takes me back and it reminds me of the Tony Dungy Buccaneers. James Canada, Big Game Sports Buzz, number 98, your program, number 1 in your heart. James, good talking with you yesterday. Just texting. I didn't want to bother you on Sunday, and I know James is usually out there working parking lot duty at the church. He's so involved, but appreciate you. But talking about this team, and of course, James and I have talked about this. It's Shaq Barrett. Been quiet. We're loving it. But such this defense, the pressure up front is going to be predicated upon a healthy Shaquille Barrett over there on the left side. An improving Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, Zach Avenue inside, Vita Vea, Gaines, Joe Tryon, 3 Huskies now on this. I still say there's going to be a narrative there. Would it be too simple if I just said, like, there's a picture of these 3 on the defense and it's just like, and then imagine it's those 3, right? So when they're in, it's Washington State, no, I mean, University of Washington Huskies, and Shaq Barrett. What? Give me something in the comments, guys. Nobody's commenting. Alan McTavish even didn't say anything. What would be, let's get a maybe it's a hard question because you got to wait for the characters, for the people to actually form to get that. Inevitably there's that one player, there's that one thing or comparison. But I just think though, when you got Shoyinka, Gaines, and Vea, if they're in at the same time, and Shaquille Barrett, no, he was it was Colorado, but of course he was with the Broncos, but he played for the Rams. So there's no time. See that Rams? Then it reminds me of, I don't know, whatever. See if I can comment here. I don't have another comment here, but I had a message on my phone. Let me make sure. Wait a minute. Oh yeah. By the way, Eric Hartnett, good to see you, brother. Thanks for sharing those with me yesterday. He's got something he shared with me here. Yeah. I mean, you know what? Oh. You got to pose that, Eric? But you know what? I'll pose it. Hey, Bucks Report. White could be shopped. Devin White. Let me tell you something. Not only does it just take a rumor, and that's on there now, Eric, and he said, people are going to shop. It's like, and I said this before, people want to probably publicly flame me that I look at a Chris Godwin, because this is what we do. We try to look at it from all angles, and Jason Light's he's not done anything. He hasn't done anything that leads me to believe he's one of these industrial raiders that wants to break things up and, like that. But he's also a guy that knows how to use leverage, but he's an evaluator of talent. He knows what he has. But I'm not saying there's any way, shape, or form that I see this Buccaneers team being better because you shop at Devin White, or being better because you shop a Chris. And now I started to remember you're shopping Chris Godwin. Oh my God, did you hear Ray? He's shop. Who does he? What's his source? Who's his source? I don't have a source. But the thing is that these are assets that could not only give you flexibility in your cap, right? Stay with me, guys and girls. I don't want to. There's some two boats coming through at the same time. It's going to be a pretty shot with the sun just breaking. And I got lucky and set this up exactly right. Actually, but I'm too much in the shade. That's all right. I'm going to stay with this. If I have to stop the show, I will. Somebody let me know if it's that bad. But continuing to find trades and bring in other things when you can relieve a little bit of financial as well as attain assets and picks that are going to inevitably continue to make this a strong team, that's the literal definition of like a New England Patriots for 20 years, or a team that's just like, okay, they made the hard decisions when they had to, but they continually year in and year out put a team up front because they're always, changing on the fly. I mean, this turned into maybe this is a bit of a sad subject. I just want to know if my lighting's that bad. Because someone just give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. But if you have a player on your team and you're not a general manager or someone, not Jason Light, but or an agent or someone out there from another team that might need a phenomenal presence at linebacker or might be looking for that number one, that wide receiver one that they're not going to be able to get in the draft. There's other pieces on this Buccaneers team. I don't want to see anybody go, but all of a sudden there's a trade because somebody offers something that's so. Maybe see if you can see his boats. I'll get to the right here again. I'll just stay right. I'm your left, right? Oh, I'm stage right. Actually, no. If I'm your left, yeah, whatever. There's the boat going through. Maybe it's a little smaller. And when I'm here in person, and you'll see the Pelican make a little brief shot, a little appearance. There we go. He's following him out. Forget the Buccaneer stuff. Unless somebody wants to talk, comment. Wait, I got some comments. Let's see here. There's Jay Garrison said thumbs up on the shot. Devin White next year, not this year. Because next year obviously they've exercised their 5th-year option on him, and it's like, yeah. I don't know. Devin White, this kid, he's not the guy that I'm thinking is the light gets a little better when I'll step back. He's not the guy that I think wants to make any interruption or whatever, wants to make a scene, but he's also the guy that knows he's going to know what his value is worth, especially if he improves his coverage skills out of the backfield to complement his backside speed and pursuit sideline to sideline, and the fact that I posed that every running back or every wide receiver going across the middle on any team that's played against the Buccaneers, going back to let's go back to the Chiefs in 20 and 55. Even before that, of course, the Buccaneers' MO as a defense is to have a defense that makes you, John Lynch, makes you dread going across the middle. But the truth of the matter is that everybody comes across the middle early part of this against this Buccaneers team. They've got their head on a swivel because there's Lavonte David and everyone else, but because Devin White will come in and he'll horse tackle you. And when I say horse tackle you, that was the most respectful way I could think, because of course Devin White's love of horses to say he gonna smack you. and cleanly, right? He's not the kind of, but my thing is, I don't think he's the kind of guy who wants to be a team interruption. But the Buccaneers, they've got to decide early on if what they're going to do, and they may be already talking with Devin White coming out of LSU. I'm already working on my second contract. That was the kind, and you knew you were going to get it, and I think we've gotten it with him. He let's be honest, Devin White, when he's been here, if we took away 55 Tom Brady, this and that, few other things, still Mike Evans, still with an improving team. Jameis signs an extension because there was no number 2, but whatever down the road. Devin White is still like a shark across the middle in these Buccaneer waters. That's your basic euphemism for what he is for this Buccaneers defense. Now, he just happened to have had a bunch of great pieces. Vita Vea, I mean, in other places, and I don't know Lavonte David, but everything else, and then that offense, that was the first in Buccaneer history. See, now we turn this back around. I'm ready, Coach. Put me in. I'm just kidding. Love the conversation. No, Jay says Jack Campbell could be had in the draft. Get a linebacker that can do it all. May not be fast, but he's a technical guy. You're going to have to get a linebacker anyway, and let me tell you why. You got Lavonte wearing the throwbacks this year. You got your guy. You kept your Cornhusker here at home. And I hope, and he's got to end his career here, but there's got to be at a certain point. And I think there already was some with this 1 year contract, because I'm sure there were teams calling him. I'm sure there may have been if Mike Tomlin and the Steelers didn't make a call to just say, hey, because Pittsburgh and their past with linebackers, but he's still, it's Lavonte, and then Devin with the second contract. Of course, I think he's gonna make it here, make a contract here. But you gotta have that linebacker, Kendall Gill, which is, I mean, still some of the things we've. Oh man, now my mind is just starting to race. But of course we got to get, because we always want to, just like we are on a defensive line with Logan Hall and Joe Tryon and Anthony Nelson. And we talked about Golston. I don't think he's signed anywhere, but man, that would be an embarrassment of riches. I'll take it every day. I don't want to get too far off the beaten path. Oh, Misador is in here on a Sunday morning. Me. White is a vast improvement from Quan Alexander. Yeah, because Quan was the over pursuit, but he had that heart, and that's what you have with Devin. But you're right, me. Unfortunately, he's not as solid as you'd like in pass coverage. Yeah, it's like, correct me if I'm wrong on this, me, because I was thinking this the other day. Shelton Quarles. He wasn't known for his interceptions, but when he was patrolling the field, especially with Derek Brooks, but Shelton Quarles had really great coverage skills, was a really good, and of course Devin's obviously not the compliment to Lavonte David, but at the same time he kind of is. I'm just glad we get to see these two play again this year, but working it back to the whole thing, hey, if the phone's not ringing, you're not singing. I got nothing. I think it was Shelton Quarles. Jay Garrison says every player is good when the ones around them are playing well. Brother, you got that right, especially, and I say with the defense. A great front end makes up for a bad back end. Take it how you want to. I'm just kidding. But the thing is, yeah, I mean, everyone playing together as a unit. And that's why the thing with Todd Bowles in 2023, he has done absolutely, positively, 100% nothing as of right now. Because, just doing this sometime, he's done nothing to warrant not being the Buccaneers coach for 2 years. The men respect him. They play for him. They know him. And he's going to have a chance to take a little bit more of this team this year. Crazy Uncle Bruce is still in the corner closet, and Jason Light is still the general manager. This team's going to have the makeup of a respectable team, of veteran-led dudes, which is so awesome. It reminds me so much of Rich McKay and Tony Dungy and the teams of that time. But the thing about it is wait, what started me on this? Todd Bowles. Let's be honest, the end of the day, if he loses this locker room, if these players don't play for him, and I'm not talking about Devin White just saying I'm bored, because I think at that point, I've said this before. Y'all know I've said this on my show. The reason why Devin was bored that game was because offense wasn't doing shit. And as a defensive player, that was my biggest fear in 2022, was that to get a chasm. There wasn't even a chasm for the years that Warren Sapp and James Canada and Derek Brooks, and they couldn't get the offense. Bless your heart, Sean King, and bless your heart, guys. They couldn't get the offense to score. You think that, they had the run. They had Mike, but they couldn't put the ball across the goal line. They couldn't, the inside. Probably, I would pose there was a 3-year period where the Buccaneers offense was the worst in NFL history inside the red zone. That's why you had a great kicker in Martin Gramatica. I don't know why I went off on that, Ray. I'm just saying, wait, what brought me to that? The chasm I was worried about last year. The thing is that I think these players play for Todd Bowles in 2023, and I think you'll see the reason why. It's a great thing to have the defensive wizard and the respected man who played himself like Coach Sapp in Todd Bowles. Jay Garrison says Shelton Quarles was a stud. Yeah, and the reason why I said that, Joe, is because you said, we were talking, I think it was that one player plays because, no, I think I was before that, but that's a good point. One player plays good when others are playing good. But, when you have a Shelton Quarles and you had a James Canada coming in here, and I loved James. I really did. I used to get him mixed up. And that's why I never told James this. I'm sure he had heard this. I always say he's the good-looking one, and Warren Sapp had the slightly better skill set. Slightly. but I mean slightly. I always say James was a good-looking guy. There were times that you'd get number 98 come in and number 99, and you would, even when they were both in, but you'd look and I would go, oh, nice tackle, Warren Sapp. No, that was James. I don't know. Plus, he was in a little bit better shape. That's as much love I give you on a Sunday, James, but it's true. Good players are playing good because they've got that, and that's what the Buccaneers have. They have a veteran defense. They have a much veteran with the Kadon and a O'Keefe and with the Rashad White, but Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Russell Gage and this offensive line. I pose that as much as the Saints have a good offensive line, they always, and the Falcons are putting money in their offensive line, and the Panthers with that left tackle they took last year, like what number 2, whatever, what their emphasis on. I pose that we have a veteran offensive line. I also posed before, and I will again. I hate to say this, but Ryan Jensen, you talk about one of those things that could bring. I want to see that dog. He's the only run blocker that was on this line for a few years, couple back, is the way he gets downfield. Did we see enough of Hainsey in 2022 that now that could be something as you look to continue to make the hard decisions? I'm just posing the questions, guys. I should get the answers if I'm posing them. Me says Miles Jack is still out there, just saying, oh, yeah, me. And also, I think wouldn't it be the weirdest thing? I'm trying to think of the last draft we had like this. No, when we take Mike Evans, and that was the best thing. Mike Evans gave Johnny Manziel a Heisman. Well, that's unquestioned without a doubt. And maybe the two are still tight. Johnny Manziel, didn't, but being able to throw it to Mike Evans on every play and knowing that you were going to catch it. I was trying to make this comparison turn around for you, me. It's kind of like reverse it. Instead of it being a receiver making a quarterback, I would pose in some respects, as surprised as I am to say this, as you'll be to hear this. I really am, though, because I've never said exactly like that. Kyle Trask put Kadarius Toney and Kyle Pitts into the first round. He was spitting at Dan Mullen's Gators offense, and Pitts is a stud, and Toney's had his couple of plays with the Kansas City Chiefs. He was just a head case. But I would pose that they had to have somebody talented pitching biscuits to them. Not that they've been bad, but Pitts has been, he hasn't the rank. Well, it was a bad team, but him and the Falcons have now, of course, now with Jonnu Smith now this year and Drake London. I mean, we need to have that veteran. Let me get back to your question. Sorry, guys. I'm just rambling. Jake Garrison says, I would have benched White for the rest of the year for saying he was bored. Yeah, Jay, but I'm playing tennis. I don't know. The thing is, I kind of felt at the time after he said it, there was a little bit of scorn. I don't think the guys in the locker room let him get away with it. In fact, I know they did. I don't think Coach Bowles did either. Probably a lot we didn't hear. I'd like to talk to JC Allen of Pewter Report right now. JC, call me. Get me in here. It wasn't, but I mean, it was kind of assumed that there was some type of a behind the scene. And that's when people started saying, oh, well, this is the guy that's already working on that second contract since LSU. And I mean, maybe are you setting yourself up for, well, you know what? She wouldn't dance on me, but she's ugly anyway. I don't know why I went there. Misadors, he's ugly anyway. I wouldn't be shocked if BA comes down from his ivory tower this year. I mean, there's no Brady forcing him out. If Bowles loses this team, keep an eye on him. You see, the thing is, like I said this last season, when I looked over and the Bucs are out there on the field warming up, I look over and I see Arians and Light just sitting on the bench, and they're just both of them just sitting like on the Bucs bench, just both with their arms crossed, like, okay. And I'm glad Bruce stepped away from the sideline because I think that he got hot. Although some of the things they're doing changes to coaching, maybe some of the rules changes. I think he still would have been a pissed off guy, but I think so it kind of scares me, right? Because the thing I've been trying to tell everyone is like, let Todd Bowles coach this team. And Bruce Arians, they go back to Temple. They go back to 1776, the year of our independence. And they go back to Temple University when Coach Arians was coaching a young Todd Bowles. I think there's all warm and fuzzies with this, though, because I think that's the thing. It's Canales' offense, and in Canales' or Dave Canales' offense. I don't think Bruce Arians handpicked him, but I'm sure he had some process in that to say, this is what we need to do, and we want to get the run, and we want to work on this, and we want to step away from, if you will, that no risk it, no biscuit. Although I'm trying to think who would they have brought in. Kevin Carver, wide receivers coach, he was never really – he was here. Okay, he was here before. Tim Haynes, what's up, Ray? What's up, Tim? Thanks for coming in here. Jay Garrison says, please share the show again. James Cannon is a solid person. Jay, I mean, not just a solid person, but one of the funniest cats I know. And this is as a Pelican just dove in. Did you get it? No, he didn't get it. But very few, Mike Rickard, Tampa St. Pete Sports Connection, his Sports Minute, and James Canada, the minute they come in, if I'm available, I'm like, oh, boop, I want to see this because it's going to be a good drop. It's going to be exactly something that I'm thinking about. And he's also a great guy. So, yeah, 100% I agree with that one. Misador says Shelton Quarles is remembered, but what about what about Gooch? Oh, Gooch was funny. Gooch was solid. Why did I jump to Jeff Gooch? Wasn't it Jeff Gooch? Was it because the front was good or because of his own ability? I know he was, and the thing was is that it's gonna kill me, guys. Please tell me if that. And is that remember every time he'd make a play, it was the best thing because the entire stadium we all had carte blanche to say Gooch, and that was awesome. Good times, man. Good Gooch. I mean, the Buccaneers have a history of great linebackers. Let's go Hugh Green. Let's go back to Broderick Thomas, the Sandman. Ooh, there's a name. Let's go back to Hardy Nickerson, the son of a gun who started this entire thing and turned an organization around by being the one free agent signing that could do it at a pivotal positional group and then bury the lead. He stuck her. Is Hardy in? He's in the Ring of Honor, right? Why am I not? Come on. Yeah, I got to think about this. I'm sorry. It's a Sunday and there's a lot of humidity going on out here, but there is no reason why Hardy Nickerson, number 56, isn't in the Ring of Honor, right? Don't get me going on a list. Help me out, guys. Jay Garrison, for what he meant. Okay, I think I skipped one. Jay Garrison says, say that again because it sounds so weird. Johnny Manziel, Heisman, laugh out loud. Johnny Manziel, he's Barbara Mandrell's brother. I had to do it with the country accent. I don't know. But eating a hot dog. People are going to wonder what that. Eating a hot dog there in Mississippi. And it wasn't the XFL, right? Where he's just like got his feet up. He's like, oh, in case I'm needed to go in, I'm ready. That was, forget the other stuff. Oh, wait. Hardy's not Ring of Honor. And he needs to be. Okay, Jay. I think you just fired the first shot, brother. You hit the cannon. I'm going to jump to that one and I'll come back because I asked and he said it. Hardy's not Ring of Honor, needs to be. Let me tell you something. This team, this town, the psyche of this entire organization was so Hugh Culverhouse. And among the changes, Sam Weiss and and we're looking for but that was later. But I mean, among the changes you're looking for is you want to at least think somehow the NFL world takes us. Oh, I'm sorry, the lighting's bad. Maybe it's not as bad on the screen. I'm gonna stay with it though, because share the show. Stay with it though. Share the show. But anybody to come here to give us any type of relevance, to give us any bit of respectability, to say, yeah, I will play for that Buccaneers team. And I know it's money, but see if I can get out here in the light. See, there I am. Oh, it feels good too, but I'm glad I'm not hot. What it meant to have Hardy come in here and then back it up in the way he played. And Hardy Nickerson, this is a true story. I put my hand to God. Hardy Nickerson was the first time I'd finally gotten bashed and beaten enough to actually go, okay, maybe Bucko Bruce, the winking pirate, maybe it's like, it's soft. Maybe it looks like people are like, oh, hey, let's, two-hand touch. Okay, you're out. It's Florida. Let's go to the beach. And I didn't want to be that way because that was Leroy Selman and that was Richard Batman Wood and Kevin Howes. But that was the OG. That was when we were balling. And in '79 was the most incredible experience of my life. To this day, it's still 37 championship, 55 championship. As far as being at all the games and being part of that, I may never in my lifetime experience another thing like 1979. And just because there was 72,000, whatever at the time, that the big sombrero control had to have been more, that were just all of a sudden like, we're relevant. We're not only relevant, we're actually kicking some serious butt. Let me go back and get the comments I missed because this is great. These comments are awesome today. Me start said that. LMAO, Pitts and Tony took Trask to treasure. Well, again, I just pose it that, even though they're on bad teams, Kadarius Toney and the Giants, and then Chiefs, and then Pitts is like there, but it's like, he doesn't. So I'm like, but, still, even if Kyle Trask wasn't making them, he understood the concept and had the skill and the ability to get it to them. And it wasn't just like all of a sudden people were like, hey, there's this guy, he's really great tight end, which, by the way, using a tight end is the exact kind of thing I want my quarterback to do, which I'm not 100% sure how much tight end usage Baker Mayfield does. I'm just going to pose that because as I've broken down, I think the guy can hit everything. He's going to learn this Canales offense, but I'm thinking, Baker's more like a wing and ding kind of guy. Shout out to OBJ. Great story. I'm looking everywhere, but at the camera, great story this last week from out in Arizona at the owners meeting is, it was Ian Rappaport, and he's on the He's on the whatever Pat McAfee show, and he's talking about that he was talking to Kevin Stefanski and one of the meat coaches and like that. And of course, Stefanski coached the Browns, and you had OBJ and Landry and Baker was there, and rocking it and started turning that team around, which they still are until they signed Deshaun Watson. Whatever. But Kevin Stefanski's talking to Rappaport, and so Pat McAfee says, "Oh wait, OBJ rolled up to the coaches meeting. Are you sure that he rolled up like that?" And Ian Rappaport says, "Well, yeah, I happen to know for sure because he said we were standing right by the door, and I'm talking to Stefanski, and all of a sudden Rappaport saw the car pull up. I like to imagine it was like just a dope Ferrari or a McLaren or just something crazy, but if it was who am I looking for? Jalen Ramsey. It'd be like a Brinks truck. Anyway, that was a stupid thing. I'm looking at. It's a great shot of the marina. But Rappaport says, "Oh look, Odell's here," and all of a sudden, this is cool. Maybe it's not as cool. I think I sold it too much. But Stefanski goes, "Oh, O's here," and he, without even hesitating, disengages from Rappaport, and then just walks outside to go out and meet OBJ, to go out and meet Odell. And I'm like, I want to see that cat land somewhere good. I want to see him land in Tampa Bay. I'm kidding. He's gonna, get something, get some money, but land somewhere. And I like the fact that Stefanski and they're kind of tight enough where the scary thing is, let's go there. Let's say you get an OBJ to buy into the whole. We want to make you whole, whatever that whole is. But Eric Hartnett, remind me to mention you later. Whatever that hole is, but at the same time, but we need a receiver, and Deshaun's going to be here all year this year, and we still got Miles, and we're looking this and Chubb, and we're like that, and we want to come back here, and the fact that you hear that Stefanski calls him not like I can go, I didn't know, but then he walks straight out to see him. Not that he's going to see him because he's going to play, but I'm like, that would work. Maybe that would be a team because it buys into some of that that vibe, right? Not only could you clear the house, like the Bucks, maybe they call Roberto Aguayo, because we have McLaughlin and we've got maybe Borgales, but okay, I didn't mean to go low on that on a Sunday. Let me make sure I'm back in order here. Big comment here, Jake Harrison. Thank you. Trask has a better arm than people think, and I'm going to roll on the floor laughing if he whips Mayfield for the start. Laughing out loud. Excuse me. Trask can move too, so people stop saying he's not mobile, and he keeps his eye down the field while moving. I think Trask takes the start. Mayfield is a $4 million camp body, draft Hendon Hooker. It sounded like you were running for president, Jay, but there's some knowledge in there. Again, I'm not surprised if Baker, because looking at what Baker did at Oklahoma, looking at the arm and strength he has and the lower body and the strength he has, I'm not going to be shocked if he comes in and Canales is going to just serve up this offense, right? And that's the beautiful thing about it. And a lot of fact in there, Jay. I agree with almost everything. Even Hendon Hooker, I'm kind of coming around like, if you know that one of these two guys is going to win, if Kyle balls out, he's your going out 50. You got to get him a new contract. If Baker balls out, you're going to give him a new contract. You're not going to have both of these two are gone next year, right? Regardless, unless you can, give Kyle Trask some of that Ryan Griffin potion. It's like, hey, buy a house here and meet a local and buy a jet ski, and and that was, I know that was plain, but I'm kidding. I don't mean to put Trask up, but also Trask. Literally since his entire MO, his entire life is always the next man up, ready to go mentality. I do think it's his time. I think it's time for him to be the guy. But yeah, it's great comments, brother. Let me get down here. Jake Harrison says Hardy is not Ring of Honor. Needs to be. Yeah, thanks for jumping to it. I 100%. I think me would agree with that as well. Jake Harrison, Glazers didn't bring Baker in to watch Trask. Baker has a higher ceiling and honestly will bring attention. Trask will be in the USFL next season, laughing my butt off. You know what? USFL is today's World League of American Football, and if he's not playing for the Amsterdam, Bowls, the Amsterdam Bowl, I was thinking the red light district. Maybe he is balling out. I would pose there's a quarterback or two maybe in the McCarran that in the USFL that could do well in a camp next year, coming in trying to compete or learning a good veteran presence. Jake Harrison says Hardy came to Tampa and changed the culture. I'd not be hard pressed to say that Brooks wouldn't be as good as he turned out to be if it wasn't for Hardy's tutelage. Jay, layers and layers of knowledge there. Derek Brooks, double nickel, was what he was already, which was, we'd watched him since FSU, and but I always thought that there was 100% that there was I'm not saying that Derek wouldn't have gotten there, and not even as much time, but there was always the thing between Hardy and Derek in a way he learned from him, because Derek, if you
So there we are. Sorry. I hope it stayed live. Love that comment. Thanks, brother. Scott Marchant says task force. You've been doing that. You've been saying it's a task force. Yeah. Okay, so let's put it in context. Like talking about a task force, but we call it Trask Force. I like it. I'm in. I like it, and I'm in. I don't know. Maybe Trask at hand, but Trask Force is good, Scott. And if you've already got that copyrighted and you got those tees, first of all, I want one. But I'll wear that Trask Force. I like the Trask at hand. I like Trask in the sun. We could talk about Baker. I'm just kidding, Baker. I'm not gonna. You. Like I said, Buccaneers win. The light's getting better because it's going behind a cloud. The Buccaneers win either way. You've got a great competition a great quarterback competition, setting up the leadership for this team as they find because that's the biggest thing. Remember, we got to find that offensive identity. That's also going to go along with that defensive identity. Last thing you want is Sybil. And if you guys don't get that reference, it's okay. Go look it up. Jay Garrison says, you keep saying names of former players I want to tag, but I doubt they are regularly here at church. No, Jay, do me a favor, please, because you're the one dropping the good drops. Take the time to whatever, and then just tag it. Like happy 53rd, was it 53rd, 50th birthday to Jay? To Ricky Bell Jr. the other day. I saw him celebrating his birthday. Of course, you know what Ricky Bell III's doing right now. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. So now you can't tag it because I literally just started dropping stuff I don't know anything about. Misador says Scott Marchant, Trask can. Trask. Me. Oh, look, I made it in a Trask can. Okay, so now I'll do the negative side. And I haven't, believe me, ladies and gentlemen at home, please do not attempt this at home. I haven't thought about these. Well, a Trask at hand I had. I've actually used it in an article. Trask. The Trask of Monte Cristo. I'm trying to think of something bad. Trask, trash. Nah, maybe me's got it. Maybe it's just too easy. Tim Haynes says, I was in high school then. I went to every game. It was a very exciting time. I think you're probably talking about Hardy Nickerson. And yeah, that was awesome. Those were great times, brother. Because you know what? It was like, okay, for one, it was nice to see an owner that was just talking about the W. I'm sorry. Anyway, and then all of a sudden, Hardy Nickerson is like, and you put that. I'm sorry. I want to get a wrestling reference in here. There you go. That's it. I'm not WrestleMania reference, so that's all I got. Scott Marchant says, must be a Noel fan. Who, me? I'm a Florida fan. Again, FAU loses to San Diego State, and of course Miami loses to UConn. So that's that. That's how that's going. But so Florida's out, which they made the Final Four, which was I think phenomenal. Oh God, that last shot. San Diego State, the guy's coming down. I mean, it's like I'm waiting for the timeout. I'm not sure if they had timeouts or not, but just takes it in. Of course, at literally last second shot. That's what March Madness is. That's the thing about it. Is as much as I want to see, like FAU, they're Boca Raton. They got nothing over here. Give me USF. Give me USF Bulls, and then like we're bleeding green, and there's like riots in the streets. There's like people on top of the bridge with like big flags, and they're on fire. But give me the Bulls. Give me something. FAU's it's Florida, so I'm like, okay, good. And then, but I still want to see him advance. Would have been great to see an FAU Miami all Florida final there on Monday night in Houston. Jay Garrison says OBJ's washed up. Everybody says he's in freakishly good health. But yeah, that's what I mean. Is like even if he's more, because the guy's got the most phenomenal hands, right? I mean, even if you don't want to pay him to say he's a decoy, but you bring him in because he's a talented receiver, and he's gonna give you. If you make a defense look at someone twice, then they're already doing their job. Secondly, he's got great hands. And third, if he's going to give a Deshaun Watson confidence, to give him some other pills, some other guys to pitch the pill to. But it's not like I'm working for the Cleveland Browns now. I'm not. Neither Trask nor Mayfield are going to ball out. Good enough to win 7 games, though. Okay. See now, Jay, you just dropped your first poo-poo platter, and I'm going to tell you why. And yeah, no, it's going to be tough. We play a first-place schedule. We got an improving Falcons team, which they're there. And then behind them is the Saints team that won't go away. And then behind them is the first-round pick, number 1 overall pick in Frank Reich. And, Good defense. It's going to be tough, right? That's why the Buccaneers have to establish a run game. That's why we have to have a team, because we still have the best defense in our division. We have the third best defense in the National Football Conference. And I think we have like the 10th. I don't want to give 7 AFC teams. I'm just trying to spit some facts at you here. With this defense, with a Shaq Barrett back healthy, whoever they're going to add in a couple of weeks here, now that we're in April. Happy April Fool's Day. Stupid April Fool's stuff yesterday, but whatever. It was a Saturday. I'm like, oh, okay. The Bucks just signed Lamar. Okay. Or what was the other one? The big one. They tried to make it. Oh, the Zeke $10 million. Was it Philadelphia? Because of course they just lost their running back. I don't know. Zeke's not going to get above 10. He's not going to get above. He's going to get a contract that's got some incentives, right? Because you're going to get a team that's going to, well, if I got the same, if this is the Zeke from Florida State or from Ohio State, that cat can still run and he's blind, great blocker and good hands. But it's going to be an incentive-laden contract. Sorry, my phone's blowing. Let me just make sure this comment isn't something bad. Okay. Doesn't look like it. Julie, thank you for liking my video. Is that on? Oh, yeah, I think that's on Facebook. Let's get to the next comment here. Actually, over an hour already, guys and girls. Sorry. Nobody still told me what the name of this fishing tournament is this weekend. Glazers didn't bring Mayfield in. Bowles did. Well, Jason Light did. Bruce Arians always liked Baker Mayfield. And why not? Bruce Arians loves talented quarterbacks. They're not running that system anymore. I'm sure we're running concepts wise. It's like, okay, we can still boom, 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 boom. You don't have the receiving core we have without even at least going, well, we got to do this. But we're going to establish the rundown. But you still like a quarterback like Baker Mayfield that can not only make every throw on a tree, but he can do it off script, if you will, or off whatever. Also, that's what I want to see. Is I want to see him more of in the pocket, to have that trust, to be that assassin. Okay, kind of like what I think Kyle Trask is going to be. I saw Kyle against the Falcons. He only had 9 plays, but the most important play was the one he threw away. And I posed that because I think if anything we take away from a 23-year career of a Tom Brady, and then he just happened to finish it up here, and other great, is get rid of the ball. No negative plays. I get it. Sometimes the best positive plays are done in that last act of desperation, which almost kind of reminds me a lot of the way Baker Mayfield plays ball. But a lot of those, okay, I can make this work. Well, this league is one score, fourth quarter, win it, lock it down with the best defense in the National Football Conference. I don't know if we want to be the team that's going to, we're going to razzle and dazzle you and either score 45 or score nothing because you're going to punch us in the mouth. I'm not saying that happens. We're going to have a run game. Show me Baker Mayfield sitting in the pocket and assassin. And then just when the defense commits 8 or 9 or 10 up, then you let Baker take that arm and throw it deep. Dude, take it as fast as I can make it because I'm there. Show me Kyle Trask doing that same thing in the pocket, utilizing a run game and making the assassins kill when necessary. That's my guy. It's a good competition. Jay Garrison says, and Mayfield is here because Bowles listens to Bruce Arians. Okay. Oh, no, I get that. You're right. As Tom Moore is not just taking up space as a football consultant. He's from the entire, and this is still a team very much made in the likeness of a Bruce Arians. I think I would be remiss. I would be remiss if that Coach Arians isn't in a building and isn't having an input with this Canales offense and with this team. But I'm glad that I hope that Todd Bowles called Bruce to North Carolina this summer. This part may be hard to believe because we all know that Todd Bowles, but he called Coach Arians. They went up, they got in a boat because believe it or not, there's lakes in Carolina, and they're flying around a boat, and Bruce is drinking his Bud Light, and Coach Bowles is just sipping on a cognac. I'm just saying like a rum. Anyway, no, he's driving a boat. He's not drinking. But I hope that Todd Bowles had a chance to, or I hope Bruce Arians said to him and realizing, look, I know it. I'm here, and we go back to Temple, but you got this. Your offensive coordinator, your team, your call. 100%. We saw Coach Bowles making the calls last year. Again, we'll never, ever, ever be as good of an example as the Saints game when Tom wanted to go for it on fourth. Every Buccaneer fan, yourself included, me included, although I'm always thinking, let this defense, but go for it. Instead, we punt the ball. The Saints made a couple of bad decisions, but we stopped them, had the timeouts, we stopped them, get the ball back, and win in a walk-off. That showed you who's making the call with this team. There were times during the season where the call was made that I don't think it was Coach Bowles making the call. Just knowing the kind of coach he is, knowing the defensive mindedness of him, knowing his conservatism, I think he was in a bind. Because he had a really good friend in Byron Leftwich. Of course, he has Coach Arians up in the corner office. And he was like, okay, what would Waldo? Where's Waldo? I got nothing. But this year, distraction. Okay, distraction. I think that may come into play me because the distraction is that Kyle Trask is giving Baker Mayfield or Baker's giving Kyle every bit the competition in camp that Buccaneer fans are hoping to see. Such a great thing. Let the defense do this. Let them do this, do that. Let Harrison from the running back from Texas, Dijon, let him learn that offense. But boom. I guess that would put the emphasis on the offense. But yeah, I like the quarterbacks. Tim Haynes, Novak in 79. Okay. Bob Stover says both quarterbacks have upside. Or Bob Stover. What's up, Bob? Yeah, Mike. Both, because it was Bob. Both. Yeah, Mike. Both quarterbacks do have upside. I think it's great to have a little bit of a narrative at the quarterback position. I think that when I see Rondé Barber go live on that first preseason game, whatever night that is, and the first thing he's going to talk about is that, first of all, thank you all for. I appreciate again. Now that I have this, I hope he wears the gold jacket during the broadcasts. I mean, Rondé, you earned it. And you're going to get it in Canton. You're going to get it, brother. I can't wait to see I can't wait to see the bust, and I can't wait to see if Tiki's there trying to say it looks like him, which it won't. But that's going to be kind of a cool thing, right, guys and girls? It's because it is going to be Rondé, but being twins. But we know that there's the slight differences right off the bat. But I hope that Rondé is wearing it during the preseason. He's like, yo, this is my gold jacket, and the Buccaneers have a great competition at quarterback. They've got a Kyle Trask versus a Baker Mayfield, and Coach Canales or Coach Bowles is saying at this point it's just too close to call. That would be awesome. And then you have another quarterback. Then whoever does win it, you got the second one who's ready to go if necessary. I love that. It's been a while since the Bucs had that. Jay Garrison says defense wins games. 100%. That's why, man. Jay Garrison, Leonard Fournette is better than Zeke for bashing and barreling 100%. I'd still like to see Fournette's good. I don't know. I could be wrong here. And Harry the Greek, my guy, says he's right because it was a Chicago game 2 years ago. Was it 3? But Keyshawn Vaughn had that big fumble because he was kind of stepping in. He was needed because we had an injury, but he was stepping in, and all of a sudden the kid from Vanderbilt, who was the leading rusher in the SEC this year, all of a sudden he's showing up. Good running back there. I think that Fournette, but you got between Rachaad White and Chase Edmonds and Keyshawn Vaughn, but always looking to improve, I guess. Mike Stover says better than finger eating. Well, I thought it was crab leg. No, I'm kidding. I don't mean to go. I'm not going to pick on James on the weekend here. Jay Garrison says Trask was accurate in that run versus the Falcons. Tompkins was off a lot. Yeah, and then, of course, Trask, like I said, he dropped back, and we knew nothing, right? They had the perfect coverage. We were running like a zero route. We were running like a zero where, nobody went out for pass. It looked like it was terrible because, we're rotating guys in because we we want to win, but we don't want to win, but we kind of want to win, but we're not going to try and win. So let's put this in. And, Trask got in there, and then someone posed to me when I put a little film on. Go back today if you get a chance, watch the Kyle Trask at the chalkboard with Coach Mariucci. He doesn't blow you away, but just watch the way, of course, they break down, show him a few of his offensive tendencies, but watch the way he breaks it down and the way he thinks. Comparing it to, because they're talking about a play ran by the Hall of Fame Jerry Rice and the Hall of Fame, 49ers, but he thinks like that in pictures, but he gets it. But any kind of stuff. They were like, oh well, the Miami game last year, he was playing against third and fourth stringers, and I'm like, well, yeah, and he was playing with third and fourth string guys who didn't make the team. 100%. I'm looking at the decisions being made, the concepts. Does he see the route tree? Is there a route tree? Receivers. Does he get rid of the ball, which he did? Does he? There was a couple of moments where I was like, okay, you know what? This moment may have been a little too big for him. Well, guess what? Once he does get in there, if this is the year, he's still a rookie quarterback. I don't care if you were on this team for 17 years backing up Tom Brady and you lived with him. I don't care if you were Giselle's brother and the three of you lived together like a kumbaya, like, hey, everyone's happy. The fact of the matter is, it's still his first year. You show me a quarterback that doesn't step in there every time. I was going to try to say something real philosophical, but I got nothing. I'm just checking out this boat again. It's really nice out here. I got to be getting off here probably in a minute. Let me check out all the comments. But going back to the thing, yeah, Jay, you're right, 100%. Sorry, brother. I'm zoning out a little bit. Now Brady's gone. You'll see more Bruce. You see, that's just it, though. I think that's the thing. I mean, the camera's always going to, that's the first thing when the Fox gets there, or CBS, if it's an AFC hosted game, or the first thing they do is they get there and they go, okay, where's the Bucks? Okay, boom. Where's their opponent? Boom. Okay, where's Bruce Arians? Do we have a shot on him? Yeah, he's in personal clubs, club box C, seats 4 and 5. Oh, guess what? The Saints didn't give him a box this time. He's down on the sideline, and Mike Evans is trying to start a war with Thomas. That was awesome. But the thing about it is they're always going to look for him because it's going to be Bruce. Because remember, he's the only other. There's only two coaches in the history of this Buccaneers organization, and there's only 56 quarterbacks in the history, not 57 now, in the history of the National Football League who have led their team to a Super Bowl. That guy's one of them, and he's here, right? But I don't want to see him. That would be okay. That would be one of those things that would completely make me question. No offense, coach. If that's the situation, I think Jason Light would feel the same way. Respect is due. Much love. Much love. I don't know. Much love. I don't know what that is. But if we ever had a thing where Coach Bowles was whatever and boom, 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 and then all of a sudden, Bruce Arians took the Arthur Blank elevator down from the owner's box or wherever, and he walked out there and he had a problem with Coach Todd Bowles. First of all, I hope Bowles would smack him or somebody wouldn't let him get there. And second of all, that'd be like, see, that's my disconnect, because at the end of the day, what we didn't have last season, one of the problems we had last season, because of all that other real stuff that was going on, was that there were times where you were like, who is the leader of this team? I, as a fan, thought that. So I am 100% sure those in the locker room, the guys, they thought it. They're like, okay, coach is our coach, but coach is still coach, and you got Tom Brady is still coach, and what's going on here? And they still made the playoffs, won the division with a rocking 8-9 record. See, that's the hard thing. They play a first place schedule this season, plus they play their divisional opponents 6 times. It's gonna be, but I still say with that defense, I'm still gonna stay 10-7. I'm gonna stay 10-7. What was the over under? 6.5. Vegas, whatever. Jay Garrison says, now that Brady's gone. Oh, okay, we already said that one. Mike Stover says, that's funny because my uncle's name is Bob. I'm so far behind. Okay, because Mike, I was calling you Bob because of both. See, I remember that. Yeah, that is funny. Misador says, going from Brady to trash would be like going from Lynch to Conte. Me, I'm sorry I don't get to your comments fast enough because your comments are so great. You and I, well, when we get together and we talk, we're great. The conversation's great. Jay Garrison says, I really like Keyshawn Vaughn. I like Keyshawn Vaughn too. I think there's a reason why that kid's still on his team. Numbers, obviously players get to their second contract and other teams see players' worth, and so they're naturally players, even if they're not balling, trust me, if they're not balling out on their team, we know how the transfer portal works in the National Football League. I say that, but ironically, with where's this guy, Aaron Rodgers, and where's he going to be in the transfer portal? I think that now it's college football and the National Football League, the lines become more and more blurry every day. They do a little bit. Jay Garrison says, that's not what I meant by more Bruce. LOL, but that's a good point too. What do you mean, Bruce? I'm trying to think, Bruce. You said mean more Bruce. I'm just getting lost on it, but I appreciate you so much, Jay. You guys still haven't told me. Let me see if I can remember that, because that's sometimes the hard part. I forget, improvisational drop that I made, but I liked it. I'm going to post it because this guy's got a big fish. Nobody's answered. longer, greater odds. Remember the first part of it was, well, who's got the better odds? Kyle Trask starting over Baker Mayfield, or what was it at the start of the show that I did? I know you can't go back and watch it immediately. By the way, share and like, and it's also, this is on my YouTube page, so please, I'm going to try and share that link because sometimes Facebook, I have issues with it, like trying to get on it and do a show, and it's, I'm always going to be here, but I can also put it on YouTube, and it's so much easier, and YouTube has the rate is a little faster. The shot looks a little bit crisper. So maybe I don't flush out when the sun comes out there. Okay, so we're done with the comments. Man, we really went off on a buck. It's funny too, because I'm writing down and I'm like, can we still talk about the Bucs? It's like never, ever. Can I ever? Even when we had the number 1 overall pick and Jameis Winston was the obvious choice, and we were going to get the Rocket, the gunslinger, the freshman who won the championship and a Heisman and all this. I mean, it came a point, and I think that's going to come after the draft here in another 2 weeks, but probably not, because the NFL's gotten really good at yearly spin. It's like somebody woke up, even though Pete Rozelle, oh, here comes my boat. So I'm going to tell you all right now, I should have set the shop. I wanted to show, got the beautiful tables over here, but this boat coming through the pass, this is probably my dream boat. And I'll get there when it gets there. I'm like, probably a little bit after the draft, maybe they'll kind of put it to bed. Like, okay, let's just, because the Lightning, because the playoffs, hockey playoffs start on the 17th here this month, so 2 more weeks. The Rays just started Major League Baseball yesterday. The Final Four will be done tomorrow night, Monday night there in Houston. You'll have San Diego State Aztecs versus the UConn Huskies. It's got to be UConn, right? Everyone's going to say UConn now, especially with the way they did and how they do, and they're going to be their 6th all time. Can you see the boat yet? See, I kind of did it injustice. I should have gave you guys a little bit more of the pass. In fact, I'm going to do that. So let me let the boat get in there first. Yeah, you're seeing the boats too late. How come you guys didn't tell me about this? All right. So let's do this. I've got latitude here. Sorry. Oh. Yeah, let me get my computer moved so I can see it a little bit. In case you guys actually comment. Yeah. I always do that. Yeah, I love that shot. I was a little bit afraid because there was a boat right here, but now you can actually pick the boats up a little sooner. And the show's literally almost over, so I apologize. So because some of y'all are watching this now and you weren't able to see it at the beginning, I'll go ahead and wrap it back to the fact that I had never been where I walked in with Tristan up the stairs there, up the escalator in center field there at Tropicana Field. And I walk out and all of a sudden there's like this plethora, Leo word, but there's just stimulation. Like, my brains, my endorphins are like firing. They're like Love American style. There's an old reference for you. Because there's a big bar right there. The Wall, for those of you watching today on TV, here, I'm going to give you a little quiz, a little work here, a little homework. Today's Rays game against Game 3 versus the Detroit Tigers on Bally Sports. Look at it, and then when you see the center field, and they're at Tropicana Field, you got left field and you got right field, and you'll see them. But when you see center field, where the pitch clock or pitch timer is, or whatever, right behind that is the most. You want to be there, the most rockinest. Everybody who is somebody was there. I was partying with like Cher. I'm kidding, but it's just so open. And then you can make a left and right hand turn, and you can walk all the way around the stadium. Do you even have a name for it, guys? Is it Don Zimmer Street? Because Don Zimmer's going into the Hall of Fame today, the Rays Hall of Fame, or is it like Ted Williams Run? But you got this bar. And then you can go in either direction and you can stand and watch. So you got all these people sitting down in the center field and left field. No wonder sometimes you might think it looks like, you got the numbers behind home plate, but you might be thinking, wow, it's like, it doesn't look like it's too, it is. It's just that let me give you guys and girls something here. I didn't even think about this till just now. It is the exact equivalent of the flat areas and the pirate ship in the north and south end zones at Raymond James Stadium. Because you've got this beautiful area that just sets, and it's literally right by the race tank. So you could actually bring the kids and say, go pet the race, go swim at the race. They let you swim with them now. Mom and dad are going to go here and just get wasted. I'm kidding. But here's the best part. I didn't even share this part. God, Stu, you owe me, but I'm just being honest here. Off of that bar and being able to walk down both left and right field and do a full circle around
Tropicana Field, there's another area. You make a right, and the restrooms are over here, but then there's another bar that leads out to the outdoor terrace. And when you go outdoor to terrace, as you go out the door in the terrace, you're overlooking, Booker Creek, and it's so nice. Hats off. I mean, finally. I mean, you guys are always making great decisions and doing great things there. Stu Sternberg and a gang there at Tropicana Field, but you've made it that's the standing room only tickets out there, and $7, $10. I can run down on any night of the week and get the best team in the American League East, best team in the American League, best team in Major League Baseball. When you talk about McClanahan, and then you get back at Glasnow, and then yesterday you had Eflin, the big free agent. Today you got Springs, and then you bring it up with Rasmussen, and now you got the offense rolling and the confidence. These young kids are hustling, and now you're giving me where I can just step in and go right out. I mean, literally, you walk in the atrium. Man, I am selling this, ain't I? It's really great. You go in and you go right up up the escalator, and you're there, and I got a beer, and I'm like just sitting on the wall, and I can do this behind center field, just over the race tank. I can do it down the first base line. I can do it down the third base line. It's an entire street. It's awesome. Keep selling that. Make the tickets the right to get in there, so I can still afford to get a beer or two. And one of those, my son had this. It's like a tater tot thing, or it's like a potato, but it's much more than that, with the toppings and the drizzle and everything. And he gave me that, like a big piece of it. And I was like, oh, you are my dude. Okay. And of course the Lightning beat the Islanders last night 5-0, or was it 4? No, it was 5 against the Hurricanes and 4. Or was it 4 and 5? I apologize for that. But yeah, the Islanders are one of those teams that's kind of fighting for a playoff spot. But the Lightning, have their spot. They lock it up last night. They locked up the postseason again for the 73rd season in a row. They make the playoffs. But yeah, get healthy now. I told you my father-in-law Pat's been, he's my hockey guy. He really is my hockey guy. And he's like, there's a lot of young guys, and Bruce Waugh and Cooper, and they're working with these lines and getting ready, because we're not the youngest team in the league, but we are the best. I mean, we lose 2-1 to Boston, and Boston is rolling, but now it's the playoff time, and we know, everything knows that hockey changes in the playoffs. Man, does it. I guess that's all I'm going to drop today. It's just so beautiful out here. I guess all the boats ended up getting out there, and I did not get a comment as to what. Let's look at it. It was Lamar Jackson. He's been a little busy on social. Oh, okay. Did a WrestleMania drop. For some reason all my tweets come in late. Like a day late. So I don't care. I figure, if somebody said something, unless it was something really controversial, usually I'll find out about that immediately. When I turn a shot, did I stay centered? Okay, yeah. Let me get back to the comments. Oh, no. Yeah, no, Jay, I got you. Because, here's the thing. That's the narrative. I still don't buy it. I mean, obviously there was a change last season when you go to Todd Bowles as a coach. It just literally, because if you go to their Wikipedia pages and you Google Bruce Arians, it says offensive juggernaut, and then you Google Todd Bowles, it says defensive dude. So, I mean, yeah, there was automatically. I just don't buy the whole. It may have happened one time. Bruce was having a bad day. Maybe he drank a couple of too many Bud Lights. He came in early one morning to rehab the Achilles, and Tom and Byron were all giddy because they just thought up the most awesome offensive game plan ever. And Bruce Arians was pissed and was like, no, we're going to run the ball. I just don't buy the whole thing. I know there's where smoke, there's fire, and I get it. Enough of the media and local media and all, like, oh, they didn't like it. I don't, at the end of the day, I think there was a little bit, like maybe one time that Tom was like, Bruce said something and Tom was like, whatever. But, of course, we know this to be true, that if that was the case, it did. Obviously, the narrative is it backfired in his face. I mean, Byron Leftwich he's over here in a soup line Friday night. I see him. He's just trying to get a little food. He's fine. And of course, Tom had the offensive problems. There was a lot more going on just that. I think there's a little bit there, Jay, but I don't think and I saw it in the preset, but Tom wasn't there, right? He was taking the time off from camp. Jay Garrison says the riff thing, Brady, Arians news was real. Okay. Well, I hope that's not my car alarm. No, it's not.
Okay, I'm not saying it wasn't. I just, man, did that backfire on Tom? Because there was a moment when Tom was dealing with that real stuff that he could have used a savior in calling the offensive plays. And it wasn't like Bruce was over there going like this. No, you don't like me. You and Byron can do it all yourselves. I'd run trip sets out of this. I would, run a pattern. I would throw deep on this play. I don't know. Mike Stover says anyone who put Trask in the same breath as Conti would be a Seminole. Good point. I didn't even think about that. Okay. God, man, there's a whole level of knowledge going on here that I'm just like, I'm chasing light. You guys are dropping K's over here, strikeouts. Kind of like we're going to see today I'm telling, wait till you see Springs, man, from the left side, the way he's bringing it. I hope I don't sell the guy out and he gets touched early. It happens. It's baseball. It's a marathon, not a sprint. But, man, the Rays are looking good. I really think they go to 3-0 today, which, for what that's worth. Jay Garrison says, AQ Shipley dropped that news. He wasn't lying. Are you talking about with the Hainsey thing? So I don't know about if that's the reason why, and one of the reasons why I thought about it was because AQ Shipley, of course, listening to the Pat McAfee show, and they're locking it down. Chris Mathis podcast, you guys know Hoppy Hour. I got the Pardon My Take, and of course Pat McAfee. Those are my four. That's literally, I could fit another, like every now and then I'll do like an NFL history or like the business side, or Jimmy Traina. He's got some on SI Media podcast. It's really good, really good. But you only got so many hours in a week, so you got to have my big four. But I know AQ's working with Hainsey and really working him. And I think I mentioned this. Maybe you remember this, Jay, or you knew yourself that he's still working with Hainsey as a center, which is because he's he told. Of course, I would pose that after the time he filled in for an injured Ryan Jensen in 2022, he should keep his options open. But yeah, he said he's still training him the zero block, right? Which is instead of being left-handed or being right-handed or left tackle or right tackle, it's teaching him the zero block, which is your center. That's why I pose again. Good general managers will be like, hey, I got a Pro Bowl tackle. I got a Pro Bowl center on a nice, not too bad contract and whatever. Or maybe, you know what? By that same there's a jet ski going through the back. By that same token, it could be that Hainsey's that dog. This guy's working with AQ Shipley. He locked it down for 11 weeks for us, and he's good. And by the way, he's multi-talented. What would you like to do with us at number 19 and this asset? You get an off. I don't want to see it. We don't want to see any of our talented staff goes. Shout out to my guy over. I'm going to do that shot later. But yeah, Jay says Byron was the fall guy. Sadly, he's a solid dude. He's a solid dude, was a solid quarterback. By the time he got here, his elbow was already done. Was it his elbow or his knee? Would have loved to have had Byron, a young Byron Leftwich, the one that, straight out of Marshall. He was a good guy. He was dealt a bad hand, and that's the way that goes. If we don't lose those three offensive linemen, if not to put it all on Marpet, but if Marpet doesn't retire, but you have the injury to Jensen and Kappa goes, but that offensive line was all of a sudden. You see, I just still don't like it. This is going to be blasphemous. I'll turn around when I say this. So you don't have to see me. That's my good side, right? Going back to Dirk Cotter, going back to Cotter as an offensive coordinator, but I love the fact that we were building that Mike Smith dumpster fire of a defense. I just wanted more running in there, because here's the thing. I think now we've gotten to that point. I think we've gotten past the breaking point. But as much as the NFL is a passing league, protect the quarterbacks, boom, boom, all this. These defenses are becoming so adept at covering the pass, or bending but don't breaking. Give me a team like a healthy Derrick Henry, but give me a team that's going to pound that rock a little bit. And by pounding that rock, you really do let the offense. Now, when you ask your offensive line to block, all right, we're going to go deep on this one. These guys are like, that's awesome, because we're averaging 4.5, 5 yards a clip on these run passes, on these run plays today. And now all we got to do is take a step back. They're going to be so taken back, and just make sure we keep them off our guy, Kyle Trask or Baker Mayfield, so he can put the ball into Mike Evans, Chris Godwin's, or Russell Gage's hands, or Cade Otton, who, by the way, I went back to looking at his tape again. He is the new Gronk. I love this kid. And in O'Keefe, he just wants to kill you. Jet ski, and I probably did way too many comments to that show. Jay Garrison, no, they're professionals, so that stuff won't be aired out publicly. Yeah, publicity. Yeah, publicly. I got you, Jay. That's what I thought, brother. Jay also says they tried to pound the rock with Peyton Barber, but they gave up on the run a lot. Not a lot to unwrap there. I'm just trying to, it's like almost finding that gift that was like waiting back, and all of a sudden you realize, well, I've already opened the iPad, so this can't be like no, it just got back there on purpose or got back there. So, it may end up being a pair of socks or, it could be a sweater from Aunt Ida, but still, it's a present. You just found it and you got to look at it for a second. You're kind of, you're thinking it through. Try to run with Peyton Barber. Yeah, but never. And I'm not saying this, but in the last year, especially last season, especially with the injuries to offensive line, they just never even tried to. They tried to get cute once or twice, which I've always posed that if a defense is putting 9 or 10 in the box on you, pitch the ball outside, give me the ball, even a Fournette, which they try to do with a flare pass or with a Rashad White run, but give me a chance with my running back one-on-one with a 145-pound safety. That safety could make that tackle, end up going in low, but also there's a big chance for that running back to open up and go wide or go long. I don't know. They tried with Peyton Barber. I think you're going to see just a lot more we're going to see now, which gives me, which should scare the crap out of the other AFC or NFC South teams, because the Bucs still have, the Bucs still have this receiving core, but now you're going to, the running game, we're gonna have to play that respectably now against that defense. Man, we're only gonna get the ball maybe 7 times or 8 times the entire game, because the Bucs are winning time of possession, averaging 41 minutes or 36 minutes a game as opposed to 25. That's the recipe for a championship. That's the recipe for success in the National Football League, and I'll eat that every day of the week. Jay Garrison says, I was talking about during Cotter with Peyton Barber. No, yeah, he did. I mean, Cotter didn't completely sell out to that. Cotter understood that a little bit more. And you didn't have the offensive line. You had a Marpet and you had Donovan, but and of course you had Ryan Jensen. And there you go, Jay. That right there proves your point, because when the Buccaneers brought in Ryan Jensen from the Baltimore Ravens, that told you that they were going to commit. They were going to try to get that run, and then they did. That's when you saw Jensen getting out in front. Such a key to the offensive line is blocking, because Jensen was the dog in the middle that would also come out and like to eat off the porch as well. Hope that made sense. Mike Stover says Brady's ego hampered his team by absolving Bruce from the head coaching position. I'm not saying it doesn't. Did you guys see Bruce Arians in 2021? Did you see when I remember I had a post, I had a meme. It actually did well. He had the Darth Vader thing on, but did you see how much of an inconvenience it was for Bruce to be on the sidelines in the heat? And how, as Christine, of course, the beautiful Christine Arians, let her husband coach. Thank you, Christine, for all that you've done as a mom and as a wife, and as Coach Arians' supporter, biggest fan. I don't think she liked the way he was looking on that sideline. We can say that Tom wanted Byron because, bury the lead. The time that Tom snuck into his house, went into a neighbor's house by mistake. It wasn't on purpose. They were actually doing campovers. They were doing the shadow puppets on the wall. They're best buds. Arians had to get off that sideline. I didn't want to see Coach Arians in 2020. As much as it was shocked like everybody else, okay. And Byron wasn't going to get the head coaching job. Todd Bowles was the one since he going back to when he got screwed out of New York. And he got screwed out of New York. You guys are going to see in 2023. Not that he got screwed in New York, but that this guy can lock down, be a world-class coach. Jay Garrison says, you do bring up a good point. They did give up the run a lot under Bowles, but fun fact, they ran less during the Super Bowl run. Yeah, Jay, yeah, numbers-wise, but don't forget, Lenny, playoff Lenny, and then Lombardi Lenny, when they were running, probably because the pass was working so well, and they had 3 Pro Bowl offensive linemen. When they ran, it was more. But the numbers overall, you're right. They were still a run-first team, 100% using the pass. I like that. What coach was it? Was it Stefanski also? I'm giving Coach Stefanski double love today. That. It's a fallacy that you don't use the pass set up the run. And I'm like, okay, that's a fallacy. Let me explain. you don't need to have the pass to set up the runner. I'm sorry, the run to set up the pass. But they go hand in hand. If I got a successful run game, they got to put guys in the box. I got numbers on the receiving. Now I pass. If I'm passing and you can't stop me, you got to soften up that defense. And now I run. You don't have to use the pass. You can. The Buccaneers showed for the last 3 seasons. You just go. Okay, now I got a lot of crap for that. Like, you just come out and just. This is us. This is like Zach Eflin yesterday pitching for the Rays. Look, it's just like do it. What? That's it. I'm just going to throw heat at you. I'm going to throw nasty stuff at you. It's going to be a strike. You can swing at it. Inevitably, you're going to end up striking out, hitting a ground ball, or we're going to score 12 runs. What? Okay. Was it 12? I think it was 12. And the Lightning now 9 points in the 9 goals in the last 2 games. My point is that I had no points there. Point there, Jay. But this is why comments can be good. Jay Garrison says Mike Stover is 100. Yeah, and Mike Stover, of course, said Brady's ego hampered this team by absolving Bruce from the head coaching position. Yeah, and I like the way you said that, Mike, when you said absolving Bruce, because that plays into the whole, it may have not been maybe you're saying it, but it wasn't like a demand, because Tom realized when he couldn't go to Hawaii, he realized that it didn't matter if he played or not. Real life stuff was going to happen. Read the Vanity Fair Giselle article. She doesn't break anything in there like, it all happened on a cold night in 2020. No, I'm just saying it was not just that. It was 100% Tom's inability, I think, to be able to. I don't want to open that can of worms. It's already late. My point being that I don't think it was I'm not going to play for you if Bruce is head coach. But maybe Tom said, well, it'd be really great if you. But then again, I would pose that Tom should have pushed out Byron Leftwich. Because if you're getting rid of the guy who's very schemes you're running, the guy who invented this offense with Ben Roethlisberger back in the 1840s, and you're absolving that guy, just absolve. You know what? Come bring in McDaniel. Just bring in Julian Edelman. You guys are having a great time down on the beach now. Bring in Julian Jack. Let your son Jack, and then bring in. We're going to have a brain trust. The offensive coordinators are going to be me and my bros, and we're going to do this. And I'm the greatest of all time. But I don't know. But you know what? Sooner we'll find out. I will dig into it this week. No, I'm 100%. I love you guys. Thanks. Oh, I already went through these comments. Oh, Jay Garrison says there's also a rumor that Bruce fell ill again, but that's too personal. And if it's true, I think he was. I don't know anything about him being. I just know that he's been getting healthier. And I like to see the Bruce that I see when I, sitting on the sideline and watching, not trying to start riots in the Superdome or the Mercedes-Benz Dome or wait, what is it now? The Caesars Palace Bet Dome or something like that. But yeah, I don't want to see that guy. But I like to see it because Coach has earned it. And having him a part of our organization, him coming here in 2019, this has been, well, obviously, even though John came in, we traded for him. Bruce Arians is the greatest free agent coach of all signing. Free agent coach signing of all time. I'm trying to think. Is Tony Dungy's a defensive coordinator with Minnesota, and there were so many teams that missed on having that guy, and we just gotten Warren Sapp the year before, and all of a sudden now we're like, we had Floyd the Rock Peters and some deep, but now it's like just Tony Dungy, and you just got Warren Sapp, and we saw what Tony Dungy did with Irvin Randall or with the Minnesota Vikings and the way he predicated his defense. Oh man, I'm getting shivers, and it's 90 degrees out here. I'm kidding. I got to get off. Jay Garrison's supposed to run to set up the pass, but if it really comes down to what it is actually working, 100%. Great comment. And thanks again today, guys, for really showing up. I think the great John Madden always would have said you set up the pass with the run. And that's probably where we got it from, right? You sure you set up the pass with the run, and then we get to turducken? That was the worst John Madden. Although that might be the only John Madden imitation you'll hear today. So I got comfort in that. It may have been the worst, but it may be the only one. Okay, so the Rays have game 3 today. Again, it's my guy, Jeffrey Springs. I love the way this guy looked in camp. I actually thought that he would have jumped ahead of Eflin in the order, but it's young in the season. Just keep these cats healthy. Let them keep throwing spit. Springs is going today. I'd tell you who's pitching for the Detroit Tigers. I don't care. Game 3 at Tropicana Field. Again, shout out to the folks at Tropicana Field for having my son and I out there. I'm just kidding. You didn't have us. I paid to be there, but I love the new amenities. I love it. I want to come back. So if you would host me, I would be most
appreciative. And also just had a great time down at the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill. I'm about to walk over here, put my stuff up, get me breakfast here at Krabby's on the Pass, enjoy some of this beautiful view. Oh, I hope earlier when I said that my favorite boat was going by, I'm sure eventually it did go in a shot, but I obviously forgot to point it out. But that's how I do. Thanks for joining me. Please share the show. Have a great Sunday. Have a great week. Uh, Final Four finals tomorrow night against San Diego State versus UConn, and I'm out. So let me find the exit music. Hope you guys have a great day, and you guys know how I end every one of these things. Everyone needs to know someone cares. It's time for me to go show someone that I really do and I love her. Everyone needs to know someone cares today. Why don't you be the one to let them know? Have a great Sunday.